Again, not a preview because it's after the fact, but oh well. TV Musing time. Survivor. Survivor. Okay, so Survivor is one of those shows I think everyone's probably seen at least part of or is familiar with the concept, so I'm not going to center too much on sort of how it works. Because one, and it's kind of funny that I'm actually doing a video about this, it's one of those shows that honestly, a lot of times I don't get it. Like, I understand that you vote people off, and then at the end you vote who wins. I get that. But there's an entire culture around Survivor that it's just mystifying. People understand and know the game so well these days, and I think we saw that last year. Okay, spoiler warning, I'm going to talk about the season opener of Season 27 of Survivor, and I'm actually now about to mention who won Season 26, which was Cochran. When Cochran won last year, he was so well versed in the game, it was like, it was unbelievable. It's not the first time he was on, so he was on before, but then it's just, there's something complete, like, I remember when Survivor started, and like, I had my own apartment, and you know, so to hear people who are now on the show, who've been so familiar with the show, that they've grown up watching the show, like, they don't remember a time, basically, that Survivor didn't exist, that changes what the show is all about, I think. So anyway, so I'm curious to hear people's thoughts about this new season. But I'm going to first share a little bit of my thoughts because I have to wait for you to let me know what you think before I can respond to that. So Season 27, and they actually kind of covertly revealed that it's Season 27, but year 13 years, because the one guy who was on Season 1, Gervais, they said 13. It's been 13 years since he played. So that's interesting too. Shows don't happen every year anymore. They can happen multiple times a year. I think Survivor sort of does sort of like once, like if you think of summer, winter, fall. No, summer, fall, winter. They sort of do one, skip one, do one, skip one. So some years we have two, although with that math, 13 years and 27, you have to do two plus 1 year, so I don't understand. Anyway, again, it's one of those things I'm like, I am not a student of Survivor. I watch it occasionally, but not all the time. So anyway, this one, how the premise, it sounds like the premise, what they told to the people who were playing it, was it was going to be the Loved Ones edition. Someone actually uses that term. And so it's returning players who are called the vets and a loved one. There's a fair amount of couples, some brothers, one set of brothers, mother, daughters, uncle, niece. I don't think that's one engaged couple. Boyfriend, girlfriends, that kind of stuff. So, loved ones. And they think they're going to be playing together. When they arrive, they spend one night there and then find out they're going to be playing apart. They're going to be on two separate teams playing against each other. And so that's the sort of new thing of how this dynamic will work. I always give Survivor credit for trying new things, because they do. They don't always work, and sometimes they do. But they do that. The weird thing I find about this is we have 20 players, so we have 10 returning players. Half the people are returning. It's hard because there's some people that are definitely fan favorites. I'm always voting for Rupert. Always. Since the first time I saw him, and I haven't seen all the seasons he was on. I might have seen him on the fan season, but you know, you just always, you gotta cheer for him. Like, he just, you know, he thinks with his heart. You know, and you could feel that in this episode. So they separate out the two teams. They have a public vote on each team. They vote someone off. But they're not voted off. They're going to Redemption Island. Oh my God, I'm already like not understanding how this is going to work as well. And then Jeff mentions, okay, you know, if you want to go to Redemption Island instead of your loved one, you can. Rupert just charges right away, you know, before hearing that the consequences is that his loved one will be going to his team. What are they called? His tribe. So he still does that. And the other person who was voted off, which was Candace, yes, I have notes. Her married boy, her husband, John, decides not to. So that's interesting already. So we have two teams. They're on teams. They don't expect you. They're away from their loved one. Two people are already in danger. I love it's like danger. It's like you call medic. If there's actual danger of something, they're, you know, like I'm not saying it's an easy situation to go through being on the show, but it's just kind of like, really? Is someone in danger? What do you consider danger? Not saying it's easy. I'm just that, and easy doesn't, and hard doesn't mean dangerous. Anyway, not getting into definitions. That's not what I meant to do. But, so, 2 people are already on Redemption Island, Rupert and Candace, and then 9 of each go back. So already we have this crazy dynamic, and I was wondering, like, am I the only person that's not understanding how this works? I watched, I think, the first Redemption Island, I think, you know, or one of them, I don't remember how many. They don't do it that often, and I think one of the reasons why they don't do it is that it changes the dynamic. And one of the things about Survivor I find is this weird thing. Like, people like that they know and understand the game. You know, that they know that if they get to this point, they only need these votes, and to make alliances, you have to do it this way and not that way, and stuff like it's all in terms of the numbers and the votes and stuff like that. So I would love if they totally changed that this year. Like, I would love if there's no merge. I would love that. That would be so funny. If one team just gets down to 2 people, one tribe gets to 2 people, have it an endurance thing, and the winner just waits it to the end, or I don't know, or goes to Redemption Island, or at 2 they all go to Redemption Island, or something like that. Like, because it feels like there's like the game to the merger, and then there's a game from the merger. So I would love if they just like totally throw it for a loop. But then again, one of the things these days I find on reality shows, competition-based reality shows that are voted, is that people, who they pick at the end, who people vote for at the end, you have to be able to say that you made big moves and all of these things, and, you know, that you were a player, that you didn't just coast along, and you weren't just the swing vote and stuff like that. And it's just weird that the culture has developed so much over the years that those things make sense. You know, that we know what the swing vote is. We know what flying under the radar is. We know what, you know, being thrown in front of the bus is. Like, and all of those are terms that mean something anyway, but, like, it means something different in the context of a reality show. That's just so weird. So, for me, I've already felt like I've been totally thrown for a loop. I kind of have sort of like a love-hate situation with the fact that there's so many returning players. In one sense, there are definitely people that I really like who've been on the show, and then there's the people that you like to hate who are on the show in terms of the returning folk. And like, or there's only one. I think pretty much everyone knows who that one is. But I also think that they are, like, I think it's bizarre, and it's early days, but like 2 people of the winners have won. Like, 2 people of the vets have won. They've already won Survivor. $1 million given to them for this game. And nobody even bats an eye. Like, there's so much sort of like respect for the game, or like, or I don't know what it is. You know, and then on the loved one sides, we have Hayden, who won Big Brother. So we have 3 reality show stars on the show. And nobody even thinks about it. Like, nobody even thinks it. It's hard, like, you know, it's early days, and they'll, you know, if it becomes to light in a later episode as a reason to or not to vote. In this case, in this week's episode, the people who were voting off were the newcomers. So, you know, they very early on there was an all-male alliance formed. So Hayden is the guy. So he wasn't. His name didn't even come up. The one thing, there's only a couple moves I thought were actually pretty good, and one of them I thought was from Vitas, who was really smart. He's you know, it's hard to tell with the all-male alliance. Not all the guys are keen on it, which I think is awesome, because a lot of them are there with their girlfriends and wives. So obviously they're not going to be like pro-rah-rah men should win this, because I'm sure they would be happy, you know, if their wife or girlfriend won it, like, or brother, you know. Anyway, so I was happy. Like, I don't know, I hate when they do gender divides. It's so boring. It's been done so many times. But one of the things that was really smart that Vitas did is that he, you know, once it was clear, he actually told the women on the tribe, but he didn't make it an us versus them. He just sort of said the guys are going to vote for, you know, whoever. And I was like, that was really smart, because then he's not really going against his alliance, but he also is bringing information to other people so that they know something. So that built some trust. I think out of the new folk, he's definitely one of the people that is really interesting. He is really, there's just something really, they really built up his character. And now people are characters. It's kind of weird. You know, because I felt like he was built up as a character. There was a girl who was the teenage mom you know, and she's sort of built up as a, you know, her character. And it's hard too, I find, because sometimes I feel like, okay, whoever they're talking about is going to be on the chopping block. So it's tricky, because I have no sense in terms of what people are going to do. I never can figure that out. That's one of the reasons I love watching reality shows, is people are crazy unpredictable. You know, so you just never know. But people know this game so well that it feels like things can be played really early. You know, like, people understand the strategy, and, like, they're talking about it in this, like, weird other language, and I'm like, I don't get it. But I do understand editing. So I can tell by how they edit the show, usually, who is going to be, you know, in trouble. And if it's someone you barely heard about this episode, you know, there's no, you're not even going to really have to worry about it. They always throw in a few loops here and there, but in general it's weird, because I'm like, I am more able to predict the pattern through the editing of the show than to understand the choices people make. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. So this week Marissa was voted off, and this will be interesting to see how it plays out. People weren't happy that her uncle was very rah-rah. You know, they called him, like, the team a bit of a sore winners, the possibility of sore winners. So because of his rah-rahness and not good sportsmanship, they voted her to Redemption Island. So now Rupert and Marissa and Candace are at Redemption Island. And then I'm like, I don't even remember how this show works. Like, so I don't know, like, at the beginning of the episode, did they do the Redemption Island thing, and then does it go down to 2, or does it go down to 1, or does it, I don't know. So, like, I give them kudos for keeping it fresh, but I would like to also give them kudos for keeping it clear. And as I said, I'm an occasional watcher. I started watching in Marquesas. I've watched occasionally since then. I stopped watching for many years when they did the tribals separated by race. I was like, no, that's just, and I think they pretty much admitted that was not a good decision. But, you know, I don't know, like, I have a weird relationship with the show, and I don't understand it that well, you know, in terms of the strategy. But it's weird, because I haven't even seen all of the returning players before. I guess I watched One World, though, because anyone that was on One World, I remembered them. So, anyway, I'm curious as to what your thoughts were for the season opener of Season 26, Survivor Blood versus Water. Do you watch it? Do you find it entertaining? Do you understand it? Do you always know what's going to happen? Do you never know what's going to happen? Have you always known of Survivor's existence, or was it a new thing to you at some point? I very clearly remember the summer it started, because it was the first reality show, and people just took to it like you would not believe, and it was just this weird phenomenon in pop culture that just exploded. So, and I understand why they bring back players. I know I've heard interviews with Jeff saying that, you know, that people like it, you know, and also for them, it's a lot easier for the audience to relate to 10 people we've already had some kind of association with, or even in my case, I probably maybe 7, you know, and then of course I remember Hayden from being on Big Brother, right? So, and then there's the guy that's the NFL player that I'm sure people who know, and they keep referring to him by not the name that they show on the screen, which is driving me bananas, and I hope in episode 2, the name they put on the screen is whatever Jeff calls him, which I assume is his last name, or some sport nickname, I don't know. He gaffed pretty, or he goofed pretty quick, and then covered pretty quick and started that male alliance. I'm not sure I'm feeling, I never liked that, you know, I don't know. Really. So anyway, Survivor, curious to hear people's thoughts, curious if you want to hear more. I've been doing these, like, you know, when shows start videos, and I don't know if I'll do one for every episode, but it's interesting to see how the season starts, and, you know, it's always fun to see fall TV start and see where it goes. So, let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching.